The house I grew up in had 7 rooms and a back garden with an apple tree that never produced anything worth eating. My mother called it decorative. I called it a metaphor for everything in that house that looked like one thing and was actually another. My name is Claire. I am 34 years old. I work in corporate law. I understand contracts. I understand fine print. I understand the specific way that people use language to make something dishonest sound like something reasonable. I learned that skill at home first. My husband Nathan and I got married 4 years ago. It was a small wedding, 40 people, a garden venue with string lights, and good food and a string quartet that played slightly off-key, but nobody minded. It was the happiest day of my life, and I mean that without any qualification or caveat. What I did not know on that day was that Nathan's parents had been working on something for 3 months before the wedding. Something quiet, something that involved a lawyer and a notary and a property document and my name signed in a place I did not remember signing. But I am getting ahead of myself. Nathan and I found our house 2 years before the wedding. A 3-bedroom on Elmwood Drive, wide front porch, original hardwood floors, a kitchen with south-facing windows that filled the whole room with light in the mornings. We put in an offer the same day we viewed it. We were outbid. We found it again 6 months later when the first sale fell through, and this time we got it. We were so happy about that house. Nathan's parents, Robert and Dorothy, were generous people on the surface. Dinners every Sunday, birthday cards with money inside. The kind of in-laws who smiled at everything and volunteered for things, and made you feel slightly guilty for not loving them as much as they seemed to love you. I did not distrust them. I just did not fully trust them either. There was something underneath the warmth that I could never name. A calculation in the eyes that did not match the smile on the mouth. I told myself I was being unfair, that I was projecting, that not everyone who was kind to you had an agenda underneath it. I told myself that for 4 years. 3 months ago, Nathan was offered a position in another city, a significant promotion. We talked about it for 2 weeks. The logistics, the distance from family, the question of the house, whether to rent it out or sell it or keep it empty and commute on. Weekends, while we figured out a longer plan, we decided to rent it out temporarily, 6 months. See how the new city felt? Keep our options open. I called a property management company. A man came to assess the house. He was thorough. He asked for the ownership documents so he could set up the rental agreement correctly. I went to our home filing cabinet. We kept everything there. Mortgage documents, insurance policies, the original purchase contract for Elmwood Drive. I pulled the ownership certificate. I read it twice. Then I sat down on the kitchen floor. The ownership certificate listed 3 names: Nathan, me, and Dorothy. Nathan's mother. Dorothy was listed as a co-owner of our house. I did not move for a long time. The property assessor was still in the hallway waiting. I told him something had come up and rescheduled for the following week. He left. I sat on the floor with the document in my hands and I read it a 3rd time. Still 3 names. I called Nathan. He did not answer. I called again. Voicemail. I sent a message. Just 1 word. Call me. He called back 40 minutes later. He was in a meeting. His voice had that slightly impatient edge it got when I interrupted his workday. I need you to come home, I said. What happened? Is everything okay? Come home and I will tell you. He came home at 6. I had the document on the kitchen table. I had made no dinner. I had not moved it from the table since I placed it there 3 hours earlier. He came in, looked at me, looked at the table. He sat down. Explain this, I said. His jaw did a thing it did when he was thinking very carefully about what to say next. My parents helped with the down payment, he said, when we were struggling to put the full amount together. You remember, we were short by $40,000. They covered it. I remember, I said. You told me it was a gift. It was, he said, mostly. Mostly, I said. He rubbed the back of his neck. There was a condition. He said, they wanted their name on the deed as security, in case things did not work out. It was their money and they wanted protection. I looked at him. When did you sign this? I said. 3 months before the wedding, he said quietly. And my signature, I said. How is my signature on this document? He did not answer immediately. Nathan, I said, how is my signature on this document when I never signed it? My mother had a copy of your signature, he said. From a birthday card you signed for her. She had the notary transfer it. The room was very quiet. Your mother forged my signature, I said. Claire. On a legal property document? I said, that is fraud. That is a criminal offense. And you knew. I did not know about the signature. He said, I swear to you I did not know how she did it. I only knew they were going on the deed. But you did not tell me, I said. He looked at the table. No, he said. I did not tell you. I picked up the document. I am going to need some time, I said. Claire, please let us just talk about this. I am talking about it, I said. I am a corporate lawyer, Nathan. I handle property fraud cases. I have sat across from people in exactly this situation and advised them on their legal options. And now I am sitting in my own kitchen holding a forged document with my own name on it. He had nothing to say to that. I went upstairs. I sat on the edge of the bed in the dark for a long time. I thought about the apple tree that never produced anything. I thought about calculation underneath warmth. I thought about 4 years of Sunday dinners with a woman who had my signature in a file somewhere. The next morning, I called my colleague James. He was the best property litigation lawyer I knew, and more importantly, he was not connected to Nathan's family in any way. I explained the situation. He was quiet for a moment. The forged signature alone is enough, he said. Criminal fraud. But the civil case is actually stronger. Obtaining co-ownership of a property through deception. You can have her name removed from the deed and pursue damages. What about Nathan? I said. James paused. That depends on what you want, he said carefully. If he genuinely did not know about the signature forgery, his exposure is limited. But he knowingly concealed the co-ownership from you for 4 years. That has its own implications depending on how far you want to take this. I thought about that. I want Dorothy's name off my house, I said. I want a formal legal record of what she did. And I want Nathan to understand that there are no more secrets. James said he would start the paperwork. Dorothy called me 3 days later. Nathan must have told her I knew. Her voice was warm the way it always was. The smile you could hear through the phone. Claire, darling, she said, I think there has been a misunderstanding. We should have a conversation as a family before involving lawyers. I am a lawyer, Dorothy, I said. This is already a legal matter. Her voice changed slightly. We only wanted to protect our investment, she said. We gave you $40,000. Surely you understand that we needed some security. You forged my signature, I said, on a legal document. To place your name on property I own without my knowledge or consent. There is no version of that which is a misunderstanding. Nathan and I have spoken, she said. He agrees this has been blown out of proportion. I hung up. I called Nathan immediately after. Did you tell your mother this has been blown out of proportion? I said. He was quiet for too long. I need you to understand something, I said. I am not a wife having an emotional reaction to something upsetting. I am a property lawyer with a forged document and a colleague already building a case. You need to decide right now which side of this you are on. He said he was on my side. I told him to prove it. He proved it by providing a written statement to James confirming the timeline of events and confirming he had not been aware of the signature forgery. It cost him an extremely uncomfortable conversation with his parents. I know because I heard half of it through the kitchen wall one evening. Dorothy hired her own lawyer, a man named Gerald Parks, who sent a letter suggesting the signature transfer had been authorized verbally, and that no forgery had taken place. James responded with the original birthday card and a forensic handwriting analysis showing the signature on the deed was a traced copy of the signature on the card, different pen pressure, different ink depth, identical shape. Dorothy's lawyer went quiet for 2 weeks. Then they offered a settlement. Dorothy's name removed from the deed. A formal written acknowledgement of the unauthorized signature transfer. No criminal charges pursued. I thought about it for 48 hours. I accepted. Not because I was being generous, because I had what I actually needed. My house clean and in our names only. A legal document in which Dorothy acknowledged in writing what she had done. Something that would follow that document forever. Nathan and I went to couples therapy. It was difficult in the way that honest things are difficult. There were sessions where I sat across from him and thought, I do not know if I can do this. There were sessions where I watched him actually reckon with what his silence had cost us, and I thought maybe I can. We are still working on it. Elmwood Drive is ours. 2 names on the deed. Nobody else. The south-facing kitchen, windows still fill the room with light in the mornings, and I still think it is the most beautiful thing about the house. If stories like this speak to you, hit subscribe. A new one comes every day. Last Sunday, Nathan's parents came for dinner for the first time since the settlement. Dorothy sat across from me and smiled the warm smile. I smiled back, but I understood now what was underneath it, and she knew that I understood. And that changed everything about the power in that room, without a single word being spoken. I passed an apple tree on the way home from work last week. It reminded me of my mother's garden. Decorative, she called it. I understand now that some things are planted not to give you anything, just to make the garden look full from a distance. I do not keep decorative things in my life anymore. If this story stayed with you, hit subscribe. There is a new one waiting for you tomorrow.